Hello.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back.
Yes, welcome to our first full moon
Yeah, we're
podcast.
gonna we're gonna do a full moon. I don't know, lowdown, I guess, and give you guys some info that we've tapped into about the full moon. And we're doing something super special on this one. So we're gonna do a reading at the end of this podcast, but you have to head to our Patreon to hear it.
The reading, yes.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing that for each full moon and each new moon as well. So
Yeah.
head over to our Patreon page and support us and get some awesome readings.
Yeah, we're gonna link the Patreon website in our show notes.
Yes.
And then it's really affordable. It's $5 if you just want to support the podcast a month, and it's $5.55 if you want to support the podcast, $5.55, or $7.77 if you want these like 2 times a month readings.
Yeah.
So, and then you get the podcast. So with that, then the podcast would be released early, so you get early access, and then the readings. So
yeah. So you get to
pretty
be the first,
smoking deal.
You get the first one to hear it.
First one to hear our lovely voices, sharing all our knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll link that below. Deep gratitude for everyone who's wanting to sign up and support us on our podcasting / Patreon journey.
Yeah, this is so new.
It's all brand new.
Yeah, it's really cool. And Krista came with that idea, and I was like, hell yeah, that sounds really, really awesome.
Yeah, I loved, like, I was a Patreon member of a couple of people, and it's like, it's not what you get on YouTube, and it's not what you get on podcasts.
Yeah, you get a little extra.
It's a deep dive,
A
little
extra content.
Yeah, and it's nice to be able to support people. I guess now on YouTube you can, but podcast is pretty much, But anyways, we're gonna dive in. I'm super excited.
Let's dive in. Today is the Aries full moon, God of War.
Yeah, Leon's like, it's the God of War. I'm like, oh, here we go. I pretty much only like anything to do with Leo, so I was like, oh, what even do I want to talk about?
Well, the fire of the Leo.
It is true.
You guys are interconnected.
We're both fire signs. We've both got some passionate energy to share.
A little bit of fiery energy.
A little bit of fiery energy. Could go either way. But yeah, so it's happening. Aries full moon is happening on October 9th. I think like 5 o'clock our time or something like that. It's going to be really nice and bright that night and the night before probably as well.
I'll be seeing it on my drive home from work in the morning, so it will be...
Yeah, you're coming home at
It's going to light up my entire drive, which is going to be beautiful because it's so dark then and I cannot see in front of me.
Yeah, it'll be a safety precaution for you to get home.
Thank you, Aries.
So we wanted to start off by talking about the energy of Aries. We wanted to talk about the energy of the full moon a little bit without going too deep into like astrology, but a little bit what's going on around it, and then kind of just the energy of all of these like blended together,
right,
based on our research and our vibe and kind of what we're feeling. Yeah. So Aries is the first sign in the zodiac. That's like, we always start, when is it, like March? Or yeah, it would be Pisces. Anyways, why am I drawing a blank right now? It'd be like March. It's the spring equinox is Aries, so that's like the start of the astrological year. So we start with the fiery Aries. It's very initiatory. It gets things going. And if you think of spring, which I know we're not in spring now, but you think of that like get up and go kind of vibe.
Yeah, spring cleaning.
Like, I want to get my shit together finally. Yeah. So there's definitely that energy of like forward momentum and forward movement with Aries, and that fire energy that really sparks or lights a fire under your butt.
Yep. That's what it is. Like, it's just a go kind of feeling.
It's a green light. Yeah. Totally. And so sometimes I have a hard time understanding astrologically, like, okay, this is the zodiac, and then with the moon it's like, well, that's not really what a full moon is all about. It's like this get up and go, and so kind of combining those two, but I think we'll get into that as we move through it. But yeah, the other, like, there's always a high side and a low side of a sign, or a high frequency and a low frequency. And low frequency Aries is anger. So he is the god of war. It's very masculine. That's not a low side, that's just a fact, but it can bring up like anger within us.
Anger and impatience. So like try to think of like anything that has made you angry recently, or like anything that you've been like, oh, I really want to get this done now.
Yeah.
And like right now is the perfect time to kind of wait.
Yeah.
On those things.
And if it wasn't like forced to, like, we were forced to wait on so many things in the last like literally almost 2 weeks.
Yeah, like Chris and I just decided to join our bank accounts. And
don't ever note to self and everyone else do that in Mercury retrograde ever. That was a bad idea.
Yeah, lots of stuff happened, but like
oh my gosh,
money going into old accounts and then transferring, and then things getting taken, double payments coming out, and then like payments not coming out when they should be coming out. It was just like a whole bunch of crazy things, and like
a bit of a crap shoot.
Krista was on the phone quite a bit with a whole bunch of people.
I figure probably about 5 hours total. And
it's kind of those things where you like at the time you're just like, I want to get this stuff done and get this stuff done and get this stuff done, and then we at the end of it we're kind of like, oh, I guess we could have waited, you know.
Well, it's like we were like forced to wait and just be patient, which you're patient, I'm not, but we just had this plan. We were like, we want to get it done. So Mercury retrograde slowed us down, and now we kind of have that more positive go ahead sign to like, okay, you can do this, be patient, but there is that energy of like, go for it. You're not going to be held back, and if you are with other things going on,
it's just a sign to just
it's a
just
sign.
Wait. Just wait.
Don't fight so hard. I think the thing about Aries is that inner warrior comes out, and it's so positive in many ways, but then there's also this like unnecessary need to fight everything. It's like, okay, pick and choose what you're gonna do here.
Pick your battles wisely.
Choose your battles.
Which is what a great warrior does.
Absolutely. And with the full moon, everything's like intensity level 1000. So choose your battles wisely, you know, so you don't crash your nervous system. So yeah, talking about the full moon, like we really enjoy on the full moon doing like releasing or clearing or letting go kind of rituals or ceremonies. And so because the full moon, you know, shines this bright, beautiful light onto Earth, it gives us an opportunity to see things that maybe we didn't see in the new moon or the darker skies. That can be intense because it can shine often in areas that aren't serving us.
Right.
So yeah, if you're feeling like there's this like aha that things aren't working out in certain areas of your life, that's when this full moon, you can really use it like moon magic in a way, you know, to help release some of those things. So yeah, and so like I said, I don't want to go too heavy into the astrology because I'm not an astrologer, but also it gets like really heady and overwhelming. But there is a lot happening this week in the sky, and on this full moon, Chiron plays a role in it. So Chiron in mythology is the wounded healer, and he in our chart represents like these deep wounds that is part of our path to heal in this lifetime. I should have looked up where your Chiron is before this, but and he's an Aries, so it's like probably not the most comfortable energy. It's like, yeah, it could feel a little sticky, but it gives us that opportunity to like heal these emotional wounds. So the moon represents our emotions and our inner world, and Chiron represents these wounds. So how can we kind of like use those in a positive way as opposed to really sit in the shit and in the heaviness? So
yeah, and when you just said that, I kind of had a thought to myself, like Aries being the god of war, and you don't want to like sit in your shit. you can technically go to war and like, you know, like become victorious over the inner wounds that you may have, and like instead of like hiding and shoving them down, maybe it's time to face them like the warrior that you are. And
what a positive way to use that energy, right?
And there's like, and fighting isn't bad if you're doing it to protect someone, protect something, stand up for what you believe in, and in this case you're protecting yourself,
and you're healing all of those, you know, parts of you that are just like so damaging or so have held you kind of captive for so long. Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. I didn't really ever see it like that. But yeah, it's healing those like emotional wounds. And I wanted to talk about anger because that's something that I struggle with a lot. And Aries anger, Chiron in Aries is like angry wounds. And yeah, it's such a shameful thing, I feel like, for me personally, to experience anger, which I do often because of my own like astrology and my own past and just who I am. But like, anger doesn't have to be a negative thing all the time. I don't think it's acceptable or positive to take your anger out on the people you love or the people you don't like at all. But it's how to, for me, it's important on how to channel that anger. And I know we were talking about that before we hit record.
Yeah, before we hit record, I was saying to Krista, like, if we are angry at something, most of the time when I'm angry personally, I'm angry because I'm stuck at a place where I know that I can get past, but I just don't know how to get past it. So I could use that Aries energy to kind of light up more of a fire underneath my ass so I can figure out how to get past that and motivate me to do something about it. Right now I'm trying to get on my creative journey and like create videos and create so much stuff that I can put out in the world and like just really bring the vibes up of the people and the collective and just spread joy and love. And like that's what I want to do. But sometimes I get stumped. And then when I get stumped on something, that's when I think the frustration and the anger comes. It's never sent outwards. It's always just inwards, and then I like kind of go, okay, like, Leon, figure it out. Like, you know what you want to say. Just figure out how you want to say it. And then I use my anger, for creativity.
You channel it in a different, more positive light.
And then I play a lot of sports, so whenever I got angry or something, like, I never took it out on another player. I just was like, okay,
took it out on the field.
You know, you're gonna run faster this time, or you're gonna kick the ball harder, or you're gonna jump higher. Just things like that. Just using the anger to almost like, you know, better yourself.
I admire that about you. I feel like I really just like sit in the shame of anger way too long, way too hard. I don't know how to channel it into something positive. Like, I feel like if I made bracelets when I was angry, I'd literally break every elastic and like just make the worst vibe bracelets ever. Or like, I mean, even if I go to like chuck tallest ball, that's about the only athletic thing I do around here. And it's like, I'm the worst thrower ever. I would just probably get
Bill has a better throw than Krista does.
Truly. True. She's way straighter than I am. I'm so inconsistent. But I think I'd even get more angry. But it is definitely anger is something I feel like as a collective, as a society, has been taught to like damper it. Especially, I don't want to get into like women versus men, but like as a woman, you're not allowed to be angry. And you have your own experience with anger and like the stereotypes of things, and it's just like shoving it down for 30 years and feeling shame is not serving me. It's just making everything harder in that way. So this is a really good full moon, even though I don't want to deal with it, to be 100% honest. It is a good deal. It is a good time to deal with it.
This is your time to fight and become the Amazonian woman that I know that you are, you know, And
I won't be able to throw straight after this.
That's all right. My Wonder Woman. You're my Wonder Woman, and you'll be able to kill it. I just, I'm learning right now that emotions are meant to be felt. I always struggled with emotions. Anger was the biggest one because I would just shove it down. But once I kind of learned how to use my anger positively, like so many things opened up for me.
So what would you advise someone to do who doesn't know how to channel that anger, or say who doesn't like really have a sport or like a purposeful thing to like hone into? Because like I'm sure many people listening to this are like, I felt anger that just riddles me with shame, and then I just sit in that, and then I'm angry because I was angry because I was angry because I was angry, and it's like, then what?
Well, the first thing I would say is know your emotions, because I'm going to be honest, I wasn't very emotionally intelligent.
Right.
So I would feel something and I wouldn't know what I was feeling.
Right.
So I'd be feeling sadness and I'm just like, what is this feeling? It puts me off.
Yeah.
And it's stopping me from being who I think I am or who I want to be, but I don't know what this feeling is. And that came with anger, sadness, grief, any kind of feeling that was negative or thought as of negative.
Air quotes negative, yeah.
I didn't know what I was feeling until I really was just like, okay, I'm going to step into this and really feel what I'm feeling and understand. Yeah. So the first thing I would say is just like, know your emotions.
Start to get to know them.
Yeah, become emotionally intelligent and understand like what you're feeling, like being able to differentiate sadness from anger, from grief. Yeah. Like, that's a big step. Yeah. And then, honestly, once you figure that out, you can kind of find a way how to channel those emotions
in your own way, I guess. Like, you don't have to go learn how to play soccer to
no, like,
because that's definitely not my future.
Like, whenever I'm angry, sometimes I was like this. I just like to take a moment and take a step back and like step out of my own body and then see like, okay, this is what is coming up. Yeah. And then like I'll even sometimes pretend to be a totally different person and like rage out on myself and like, how do I feel? So I don't do that to that person, right?
Because you actually are really good at that though. Like, you're really aware of like how your anger affects people around you. Yeah. Which not in a shameful way. I feel like I'm aware of it, but I'm super hard on myself about it. Whereas you're like, okay, I'm not going to do this because I know. Yeah, but
even if you do it, don't be hard on yourself, because we've all been places where we may have gotten mad at like someone over the phone trying to help us with like a credit card or like like internet bill or something like that. And I've always like, I've worked in a lot of customer service, so I've kind of been like
on the
other end. So I kind of like, anytime I work with someone in customer service, I just kind of try to be super nice, because I know that they're probably having the worst day of their life. This could be like their 15th phone call and everything's going wrong, and it's just, they're like, oh, why do I always get the shitty people? And it's just like, oh, you know what, that guy was actually super nice.
I'm not gonna, I'm gonna make that person's day instead of.
I'm having a problem. I'm gonna try to make someone else's day better through it. And that's what I try to think of when I go through emotions, and like, especially anger. Yeah. Anger is a big one, and it's a tough one for me because I'm always so happy-go-lucky, and then if something makes me angry, it's normally pretty big, because it takes a lot to really make me angry. Yeah. And then so it's just like really trying to hone in on that and like use it for positive, like and
just harness it in a way that can really, it can come out in a positive way instead of like negatively impact.
Yeah. And it's okay to feel emotions. That's what I'm learning. This is like
the whole spectrum of emotions, not just the bad, not just the good,
And like this whole last 2022, it's been a huge learning how to deal with my emotions, learning how to understand my emotions, and learning to know that each emotion that I feel is okay, that I feel them, and not to shove it down with just fake happiness. And then when I'm actually happy, it is like so much nicer.
It's
it's so much.
It's authentic. It feels really good.
Yeah. So I'm happy like 90% of the time. Yeah. And then some things make me sad.
Yeah. And some things make you angry.
Yeah.
I looked into our like own astrology charts and where this moon falls, so you can look at your chart if you have it drawn up, and then you can find where, I think it's 16 degrees of Aries.
Yep, 16 degrees. Yep.
And then you look at your chart, and whatever house that's in, that's the area of your life. So they have to figure out what the houses mean, blah, blah, blah. That's a whole nother conversation. But what area of life that this moon kind of shines its light onto. And mine is the 4th house of like home and family and motherhood and mothering and like the matriarch and emotional security. And yours is in the 7th house of relationships. And I was like, I don't know if I want to tell you that, because there might be like some healing that you feel like we need to do in our relationship, or that like anger towards me. And so I was like, no, I'm just gonna like not tell them.
The only fire I really think is the fire that's in the bedroom. You know?
Of course you go there. That's more 8th house energy, so unless you want to like romanticize things, it could be nice.
Yeah. No, I have
no, just kidding.
I have no anger towards anybody in my family right now.
Yeah, well, we'll see like on the 9th what comes through.
Yeah,
we'll keep you guys posted if we have a big fight.
But honestly, this will kind of give you guys a heads up, because you'll know the energies that you're dealing with,
right?
So you can kind of see like, oh yeah,
this is what's happening
coming up, and
instead
you can kind of
feeling
reverse
like
it. You can kind of like stop yourself in your tracks and be like, okay, this is what's happening. I know what's going on. You don't fool me, Aries. I got you.
So that's one thing I kind of wanted to talk about that I didn't, write down or jot down. It just came to me, but I often feel like when I listen to astrological forecasts or readings, I'm like, oh, that's going to happen and it's going to be hard or shitty or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that doesn't have to be the outlook I take, but I feel like once you get that in your head, then that's kind of the story that plays out, So if I was looking at our charts, I would think like, okay, we're probably going to get a big fight this weekend because of the energies, but that's not how it has to go. This is a great, the more you know, is a great way to live intentionally through these moons, through these lunar cycles, that when things come up, impatience or anger, it's like, okay, that's the energy right now. How do we use it? Instead of just like fighting against it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. This is how to flow with it and to understand, like, and
I'm just
not to feel shame. I don't want you to feel shame. Yeah. There's nothing to be ashamed of.
Even anger.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, these sorts of realizations can make you think that you're kind of more like life isn't happening to you. It's happening through you or for you or whatever you want to say. But like, once you're able to say, okay, I do know the Aries full moon's coming up. This could show up. If it does,
I got this. Like, that's what's happening. Yeah. And it's okay. It's meant to be what's happening. Exactly. I can say that, and we'll see how it goes this weekend. You'll be fine, honey. So, so one more thing about the full moon is that when we have a full moon, we have the sun in the opposite sign. So the sun's in Libra right now, which we did our Libra equinox podcast, and the moon's in Aries. And those are two very different energies. Like, Libra's air, Aries is fire, and Libra's like, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but like people pleasing. Like, you want everybody around you to feel the love, to feel harmony and happiness. And then there's this like Aries energy that's like, get up and go, all about me. I'm number one, like first sign of the zodiac. Like, so I think if I was like a sign, I'd be a Libra. You are so Libra. We talked about this. Everyone just be good. It's okay. It's so true. Like at work, sometimes like I work with like a whole bunch of dudes, and like it's a very masculine work area, and like sometimes things get a little bit heated and stuff like that. Sometimes Aries comes out to play. And then I'm just like, guys, it's all good. You are so Libra. We're best friends. This is your astrological makeup. 80%
No, 70% Capricorn, 30% Libra. Nothing else exists in your chart.
Exactly.
It really is. You have
I'm a
tons.
logical, happy-go-lucky.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Hardworking, stubborn, you know, like business oriented, like go forward, got to support my family kind of guy who wants the best for everybody and just like loves making sure everybody around him is happy.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't. Yeah, that's so true.
But like it could.
Can't explain myself. That's just too.
That's just
it. That's just who I am. If you're having a bad day, come on over. I had a guy at work that stopped me. It was just like, you know what, you're always in a good mood. I'm just happy to be here. And he's just like,
it's like the hardest job ever.
He's like, he like stops me and he looks at me. He's just like, if I'm ever feeling sad, can I just come talk to you? And I was like, yeah,
the ultimate
for sure. Like I was just so excited. Like I was just taken back.
It's a pretty sweet compliment.
Yeah, I think it was a really good compliment. I was like, oh my goodness, yeah. I was blushing.
That's so cute. But yeah, so you are very Libra. So the sun's in Libra. So this, like, on the exterior, which is the sun, is outward. There's this, like, I don't want to just say people pleasing, but this energy of, like, harmony, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to keep things
at peace,
at bay. Everybody's good. Mm-hmm. And then there's this, Tall as a Libra, by the way. Her birthday's next week.
She's not very people pleasing, because if she was pleasing, she would
not drink right in the middle of our podcast. She is a people pleaser, and she's really sensitive. Yeah. We're starting to learn. And then, but the moon now is in like this masculine Aries, so it's more of our like true, authentic, and raw emotions on the inside, right? So it's finding balance with these two archetypes and being really compassionate with yourself, because those are two they're complete opposite energies in both ways, you know. So being really kind to yourself through this and having as much compassion as you can for yourself and others, because people are going to also be in this. It's not only honing in on you, as much as we'd like to think the whole world revolves around us. It doesn't.
Nope, it doesn't.
But so being compassionate, using that Libra energy in a really positive way to keep the peace, and then honor what you're feeling.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Finding balance.
And I can't stress this enough, but like, please don't feel shame.
I know.
You know, just be okay with what you're feeling, and understand that you are human. Yeah. And that emotions are good. You know, if I can learn that,
and then
anyone can learn that. And yes, so please don't feel shame or whatever you're going through or whatever happens through this full moon, because after full moon is a new moon,
and everything's good again.
And we can all feel harmony.
You know, I used to really like cringe about the full moon and like be so happy about the new moon, but as the moons went on, the new moon started getting really hard for me, and I was like, God damn it, I really liked this moon cycle, and now I'm just like, I don't manifest anything, and just like sitting and fucking healing shit even on the new moon. It's like, this is awful.
I love the full moon because like this is like the nerdiest thing. Well, not the nerdiest thing that you'll probably hear from me, but like one of my nerdy things is like I secretly wanted to become a werewolf.
I know, I knew this about you.
And like I literally used to Google ways that I could become a werewolf. And
this was like not that many years ago.
Yeah, like probably 3 months ago. But who's judging? You can't judge.
Who's counting?
And anyways, I love the full moon. I love the full moon, and I love the energy that it brings.
Maybe you were a werewolf in a past life.
I could have been the werewolf.
Do you think you can be like a Jamaican werewolf?
Yeah, probably. It would be a hyena though. It would be like a
hybrid hyena.
Yeah, shapeshifter.
So do you think you can interspecies past life? Like, do you think you can go from being like a human to a cat to a human to a werewolf to a unicorn to a bird?
Yeah, why not?
I don't know.
That's another podcast for sure.
Yeah. We better nip that in the bud because we could probably
go
get
off.
going.
Yeah,
on
this could be like a 2-hour-long podcast.
A total rant, though. It'd be a little bit of it'd just be called like Crazy Town Podcast.
Yeah.
So we'll swoop back to the Aries full moon. We have some, I guess we were just kind of talking about what we wanted to do for ceremony.
This would help you too, I believe.
A ritual, yeah. This is for everybody, but we were just discussing it kind of leading up. But there is some other astrology happening that is encouraging us to communicate or to write down things. Mm-hmm. So that might be a really positive ritual to include, is writing down your, innermost emotions that like maybe you do have some shame around and you'd like to just get out. Mm-hmm. Writing it all down. And then because of the Aries energy, the fire energy is like lighting it on fire.
Yeah, burn that mother.
Burn it down. So we have a wood stove. We will be putting ours in the wood stove or outside or something. Mm-hmm. Make sure to burn your shit safely. Yeah. And don't start any fires. But yeah, this would be a really good time to physically burn stuff to release.
Yeah, anything that you want to let go of. Just things that no longer serve you.
I'm going to burn everything in our God box, I decided. Yeah. Not all of the things I've written down. Yeah. I want to light those on fire and just start again.
And let them go, yeah. And this is the perfect time to do it. And I love fire because fire, it does take life away, but it also creates life as well.
It's powerful.
So
it's really powerful.
It's one of those things that is it's a creator as well. Yeah. So burn things that don't serve you so that new things can be created through that fire.
So that's the beauty of the full and the new moon happening in the ways that they do. As the full moon comes along, you're able to release, you're able to create space, whether that's through a fire ceremony or not, but this time would be really beneficial. And then the new moon comes and you're like, oh, okay, there's actually space in my heart, there's space in my mind, in the depths of my being to manifest from a true place of intention and clarity.
Exactly. Detach yourself from things that do not serve you so that you can bring in things that you would love to bring in.
Yeah, that do serve you and those around you.
Yep, exactly.
So, the last note that I have here is just this is a great opportunity to heal destructive anger, which I think we went into. Really, if you are feeling that sort of energy come up, it is I loved when that astrology we were listening to was like, it's in the air. It's like, yeah, it is in the air, and that's okay. It's nothing to be afraid of. Yep. I'm saying that to myself as well, but rather to use and to flow with.
Yep. Use that anger as fuel for something greater and something higher, and you don't know what you're gonna you never know what you can create through that.
It's pretty infinite.
Fire.
Pretty much infinite.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this up. That's our little spiel about the Aries full moon. Yeah. And then we're going to go on to do a special Patreon full moon reading.
Yes. And before that, I'd just like to thank you all for listening. This has been so great to have everyone listen. Krista was showing me the analytics a little while back ago, and I was like, what?
We were shocked.
That, really? People
listen to us?
It's not just our parents?
No, my mom hasn't even listened, so imagine how many listens we'd have if she did.
Oh my goodness. So, but thank you so much, and we love doing this. I'm having the time of my life.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
This is out of my comfort zone and out of my, area of expertise. I could sit there. I could talk to you about soccer forever, sports forever, but getting in touch with this side of me, and being able to share it with you all is helping me be creative on the things that I want to be creative on the outside of this.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like I'm getting better at being more open. Yeah. Which is a scary feeling, but also great.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I think you're doing amazing. I think it's just a lot of fun to be able to do this together. We literally had to wait till our daughter went full-fledged asleep because she was She was manipulating us tonight.
Well, she tricked us, and then
she tricked us.
And then I thought she was crying wolf, but then I went in there, and then she said
she wasn't actually.
She was like diaper, and I was like, oh yeah. She
That's a full pee diaper.
Full, and then as soon as I changed the diaper, I said, okay, you're a big girl, are you gonna go to bed? And she's cried like she went heh, and then she's passed out.
Yeah,
she's been out. So she's crying
a Gemini,
wolf, but she's also telling the truth. So
we have to be discerning.
Always gotta check.
She's a Gemini. She's super fucking smart. She might be smarter than both of us.
Oh, it's clearly me. She's smarter than me. Yeah.
Already at 16 months. So we need to be on our A game, which at 9:45 at night after a full day of work and momming. Yeah.
No. Not for me.
No, it's too hard. It's too much. Okay, well, thank you guys so much. And I hope you stick around or head over to our Patreon to hear our reading, because these cards are really awesome. I'm super excited.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I'll give you a hint. Move was the card I picked.
And goodbye.
Bye.